a retired 30-year school teacher and member of the American Federation of Teachers. My daughter Gemma, her husband, and my son-in-law Nick, and the guy who doubles as my campaign manager and grandson, Logan Jessup. You know, as I prepared to come to this convention and accept your nomination for General Secretary Treasurer, I looked in the mirror and thought, you're one hell of a fortunate oil field worker. Because when I started working as a second generation Teamster for Pennzoil, I never dreamed I would become a steward, be elected president of Local 175, or be elected as a vice president of this international union. And even reaching that position never caused me to assume that I would be fortunate enough to continue to serve the members by filling the enormous shoes of our former General Secretary Treasurer, Tom Kuegel. Now here I am, and I hope I'm the same guy that worked in the oil fields, served as a steward, has handled grievances and negotiated contracts for more than 40 years, and together with my partner, Jim Hoffa, kept this union financially sound, paid off the debt we inherited, and amassed a strike fund that has grown from absolutely nothing to over $150 million. I've learned that this is an enormous and diverse organization. Before we leave to return to our homes, look around this great hall. There are delegates from the United States and Canada, delegates from Puerto Rico. We are men and women of every size and shape, every color and background, and every sexual orientation. We are a union that welcomes workers and celebrates our diversity. We don't require background searches on Ancestry.com, and we don't expel workers whose great-great-great-great-grandfathers came from another country or who practice a different religion. And you know what? Our members are never going to support any politician who does. You've heard it repeatedly this week. We don't build walls to divide workers. We take down walls that the rich build to protect their work. And you know what? In years past, some of the Trump-like capitalist fat cats have boasted that they could hire half the working class to kill the other half. Well, I'll tell you one thing, they weren't talking about hiring Teamsters.
Right.
And in the past 5 years, I've come to appreciate that the view of this union from the General Secretary's office is very different than the view from my local union in West Virginia. I've come to appreciate that international officers owe a duty to all of the members of this union, not just to the members in isolated local unions. This union is bigger than any local, and our obligation as international officers is much, much broader. One of the most outstanding accomplishments of Jim's father was to convince members in the late 50s and early 60s that the entire union benefits from national contracts that establish uniform standards that all of our members can enjoy. What Jim's dad did was to convince some of the strongest locals to extend the hand of solidarity to some of our weakest locals so the entire union could move forward together. And that's what our national contracts are about. Our national contracts are about the most benefits for the greatest number of members. That's what's made the Teamsters the greatest union in the world and continues to drive us today. And when you become General President or General Secretary Treasurer, you cannot blackmail the vast majority of members who have already ratified a contract by holding up their wage increases just to benefit your own political career. And when you want to be General President or General Secretary Treasurer, you cannot put your members in danger by taking them out on an illegal work stoppage in order to get someone to pay attention to you. The members of Local 804 in New York understand his local union. And you can't run your local health and welfare fund into the ground and leave your members without health coverage and then have to merge to another local. That's the record of the wannabe slate candidates. The Hoffa Hall slate understands that our job is to protect our members from the corporate fat cats and right-wing politicians who constitute the ruling elite. These jobs weren't created to satisfy our personal egos or to further our political careers. Our members should not need protection from the reckless decision of their own officers. Because when you're the international principal officers, there's no one above you to swoop in to fix the problems and bail your ass out. There's no one to come in and get your 250 UPS workers their jobs back. And no one else is going to come in and save you health coverage. You know, we've seen this week in the Constitution Committee, we rejected proposals from the wannabe slate that were designed to fragment our national master contracts. And you know, not surprising that these came from a candidate that came before the UPS negotiating committee after the national language was ratified and told the committee he didn't give a damn about the rest of the country, but would not let his members ratify his supplement until we got everything he wanted. Not surprising, but that's not what our union needs. You know, that's not the approach of an officer with a national vision. That's not what James R. Hoffa built, and that's not what every following general president, with one notable exception, has attempted to preserve. We don't need leadership that builds walls around our 400 local unions. What we need is what we have. The Hoffa Hall leadership, which will continue to build unity, build solidarity, and build our teams through strength. And so I proudly stand here and accept your nomination for General Secretary Treasurer.